All right, welcome back. And this morning, let's draw something from Star Trek. Another pretty face, and this is Stax from Deep Space Nine. And she's obviously very pretty, so it might be a little bit hard to draw, but let's go ahead and give it a shot. And I'm just gonna put this next to me. That way, it's a little bit easier, to see the reference, and that way you guys can see it as well. Okay, so let's draw this, and so this is just gonna be a sketch, and I'm gonna try to be a little bit more deliberate and slow and really shading the parts before I move into the next area, as opposed to just sketching out the larger areas first. I'm just gonna start with the eyes and then just go from there. So it's kind of fun, and I've been doing a lot of these little sketches here and there, so I've been trying to learn how to draw it this way. All right, so I'm using a 2B. So let's start with her eyes. Let's see how big I should draw it right around here. Okay. So let's just go ahead. Just gonna start sketching the top of the eyelid right here. So the strokes are gonna be, with these kind of sketching, I notice my strokes are a little bit shorter, and that's because I'm trying to see it, and I'm trying to draw it. So as opposed to drawing these little big reference lines, I'm actually just trying to see all the little parts, all the shape by itself, and then just sketch from there. Okay, so here's the eyeball. Here's the highlight. The pupil inside, and then just kind of shade around it. And then the top of the eyeball is always a little bit darker. Let's see on the bottom here. So I'm shading the bottom here. It's a little bit more delicate, and again, hopefully I can do this because, again, pretty faces are very hard to draw. So the eyeball inside right here is a little bit darker, and then up here, and then the eyebrow. So right now I'm just totally focused, in the this eye area right here. A little bit more shading underneath. So with a 2B, I gotta push down pretty hard just to get those really darks in here. Okay, so that's one eye, and let's just keep going. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to come back to it. Hopefully I don't have to, but I'm really not at that stage yet. Okay, come across for the eye right here. Probably maybe here. Oh, I got the slant right. I always tend to have this side go up because of the way I'm standing. So corner of the eye here, darker up top here. So now I'm just totally focused on this eye. It's not round on the bottom right here because it's hitting the bottom of the eyelids. Again, same thing with the eye here. Corner. It's a little bit of gap right here. That's important to leave that. Bottom here. And then this side right here is a little bit darker. Okay, now this part here, this is dark. So shorter strokes, because I'm trying to work without guidelines. If I were to do drawing the guidelines, I would actually draw some lines like this first and angles. I'm trying to skip them, just trying to read it really carefully. So it's gonna end right around here, and I'll just go from there. So it's a lot more like really sharp and detailed observations, So if I can read that correctly, so like this is darker, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a shade. It's actually pretty fun. I've seen a lot of professional artists do this. And I've been sketching like this for a little while, not too much. And I do notice what I see, I guess it's more accurate, like the first time around. And not just the shading, but also the proportions. So which is kind of cool. I mean, it's a very cool skill set to have, to be able to see it and then draw it correctly. Okay, so that's the eyes. Punch it in, just give it a little bit more emphasis on these dark areas. Squinting my eyes over the reference so I can see just the bigger areas. Okay, so let's come down to the nose. So right here, slow down and make some measurements. So maybe right around here. Corner of the eye, corner of the eye. So nose, nostril right here, and then a corner for nose right around here. So right here, this whole part right here, this is gonna be darker here. And then here's the nostril. And then this comes around, this is darker here. Again, I'm totally focused in that one area. I'm trying to read it and just start shading. You almost try to forget what is it that you're seeing and just try to see this shape right here. There's somebody at the doorbell, so I have to step away just for 1 second. And so I'm trying to forget what is it that I see here. I'm just trying to see these shapes here. So here's a bulge right here. This part's darker. Darker here. Darker down here. A little bit sharper right here. Okay, hopefully I didn't make her nose a little too wide. All right, let's just keep going. Okay, so that's her nose. So in terms of the direction of the shading, you can go whatever direction. I did a little bit of cross hatching right here just to mix it up a little bit, but the point is, if we can get the shading correct, the direction is a little bit less important. Okay, so let's draw in her lip. She's got very nice lips. Corner comes about to here. And then here, a little bit wider. She's got a little bit of a smile. I think that goes up slightly as well. Okay, so I am drawing this line here so I can see. Oh, speaking of seeing, I'll probably need glasses. It's amazing how getting a little older, you see your eyesight kind of deteriorate a little bit more. Can't see up close as much. But I can still see well enough without glasses to draw for the moment, but you know, things do change pretty fast, unfortunately. Okay, so the lip right here, this part's slightly darker right here, corner, and then let's draw in the bottom. Bottom starts right around here. Kind of tucks up here, darker here. It's got a highlight right there, so try to keep that. So the whole thing about this way of drawing is leaving the paper white becomes very important. You know, instead of erasing things out because you're, you know, usually I'm pretty messy. With this, you gotta slow down and really try to keep the white. So like, there's a white here, it's slightly darker here. I can draw that, but you want to keep that white without having to come in with an eraser. So that in itself is a challenge, you know. And but it's cool. It's fun. I can see myself getting better at it, and it is kind of fun drawing this way. It's a little bit slower, a little bit more deliberate, and you know the final product does look a little bit more, I guess, professional. Okay, so let's see. Now that I have the features, let's come back up here and let's draw in some of the lines here for the face. So again, instead of long lines, I'm being a little bit more deliberate, a little bit slower, shorter strokes. Right around here. I think I might have missed on the likeness. Yeah, this face shape is bad right here. Something's off right here. Let's see. I do need to erase. Bulge here. Come down. I think I need to give her a slightly bigger chin. That looks better. Okay, so let's come back up here. So hair, let's see. This is gonna come out. Hair is black, so we can go ahead and just punch that in. Okay, so the forehead, we can sketch that in later. Let's get in some of the shading here in the face. Here, here's the cheekbone. Yeah, my pencil is still pretty sharp. The thing with working with these harder pencils like the 2B, I mean, it's not that hard, but harder than what I usually sketch with, is that, you know, it stays sharp pretty long because it's just such a hard, you know, hard graphite, the lead. So sometimes it's good and sometimes bad. So like right now, I actually wish it was a little bit duller, but if it's duller, then I can hit areas a little bit wider, a little bit flatter. Okay, so let's try to sketch this. So not much shading out here. Again, female face, very delicate. Yeah, I don't like the shading right here. Just looks a little dead. Okay, so the bottom's darker. It's darker. The thing with the shading is, it's okay to leave the strokes. Like you see some lines here, it's fine. It actually adds to the more of an artistic element to it, which is kind of nice. Yeah, something's missing up here. I think I kind of messed up the shape of her face. Okay, so just looking at this, it's kind of crappy actually. Let's come back up here and add in more shading. Okay, see the top of the head. Okay. All right, let's come back up here and let's add in another stage of shading. If I come back and, now that I get a better feel of this, now you know what needs to be darker, like the nose and the lip is like really not dark enough. But let's come back up here and let's add another pass. This will be the second pass. So in some ways I've kind of failed. It'd be great if I didn't have to come back. So this is darker here. This part's darker. Actually, this whole part needs to be darker. Yeah, there's really no really hot highlight there. Nose. Yeah, so it was a little bit more tentative here, and it shows. So now I'm gonna have to come back here. I feel a little looser now, just because all the elements in, I can't really change much of that anymore. So now I can just focus on the shading more. Okay, so the lip needs to be a lot darker. Nice red lips here. The bottom is darker here. And then this whole part needs to be darker. You get that expression. Highlights here. This needs to be a lot darker. Yeah, see, it's like things I couldn't see at the beginning. Now I can see it more. The thing with a lot of this, when you go over too much, what happens to the paper is that it smooths out. And when you go over too much, it just gets to the point where it feels a little slippery. And that's kind of bad. So that's why if I were able to get it correct at the beginning, it just looks a lot better. You don't have to come back and then because when you sketch again, it's a different quality of the paper and the texture is gone. So now you have some parts where right here, you only get one shade, and here is like different levels of layers over layer. It feels very slippery right here right now, especially this part. I can't even feel the paper anymore. So darker. Turning my pencil to get the really sharp edge. short strokes, so I can hit that kind of harder. She's got really pretty eyes. I think mine's is not as pretty. This part needs to be darker here. Her ear, let's see, comes right here. So let's try to shade in the ear real quick. Just give it one shade first. In here, darker. Darker here. And right here, it's a lot of what they call, I think, subsurface, where the light's coming through the ear, so this is very light right here. I think that's what we used to call it in 3D stuff when we're doing renderings. It's called subsurface rendering because you're showing through the surface inside to get that glow and trying to recreate how light works through flesh or any kind of skin layer. Okay, so here's her neck, and then there's her hair. Okay, so I think I started out okay. The eyes were okay. The way I was sketching was okay. Then once I got down to the bigger area, that's where I felt like I was really struggling. I think you can see, like right here, it's too much. It's like overly sketchy. Missed the value. This needs to be darker. So this part right here, you see how messy that is? There's just too many layers of the graphite over it, so it's not as nice. Whereas this feels better. If I can shade this better. Forehead, alright, I probably won't go up anymore. I think some parts worked well, some parts didn't. Let's draw a little bit close. I can just kind of frame this whole thing. So on the bottom here, let's say I'm trying to sketch that way. See, this feels good right here. This is what I was trying to do for the head, but I was a little too tentative, and see, this is kind of what I want to do. And to have these lines, it's actually okay. Okay, so yeah, let's just call this done. Yeah, now that I look at it, the features are really weird. Definitely not like hers. Okay, so let's see. This is bad right here. The eyes are nice. The nose is okay. The features are okay. It's just everything around it kind of sucked. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of fun, and this kind of sketching style. Just kind of come into whatever station you are. You have a drawing area, and just start sketching, and not worry about the all the little trace lines or reference lines, and just kind of try to read it, and then just kind of go for it. It does work. Not as well here, but I think some other drawings are better. And it's pretty fun, and it's quick. You know, you can do probably like in 20 minutes, under half an hour. And you can draw a little bit smaller. That'll make it a little bit easier as well. Okay, so let's see. I don't know, I might fiddle around with it later. Let's see if I can actually salvage this thing. If not, that's cool. I think we have some good tips, I think, you know, from some good areas. Alright, so here is the final drawing for Dax, and I end up spending maybe another 20 minutes or so with the cameras off, and it went a lot faster, you know, when the camera was off. I was a little bit looser and just kind of went for it. Made some of the areas darker, just to try to correct for some of the features, and then the shading for the hair, and then the bottom here. So I think it kind of came together okay, even though I think I kind of struggled toward the middle of this drawing. In terms of lightness, yeah, again it's off, but it's still kind of a pretty face, so hopefully it's not too bad. Alright, so my throat is going out again. Hope you guys enjoyed this drawing, and I'll see you guys next time.